Greetings, welcome to W11U2 Pro-Forma for Pre-Qualifiers. In the previous unit, we understood part A of the SCR, which provides the institutional information. In this unit, we will understand the Pro-Forma of Pre-Qualifiers for accreditation. Now, what is this concept of a pre-qualifier? An institute, tier 1 as well as tier 2, whether it is a tier 1 institute or tier 2 institute, an institute must comply with certain criteria to be even considered for accreditation. That is, the NBA will consider visiting the institute for the purpose of accreditation of the programs for which the institute has applied, only if the institute satisfies certain criteria listed as the pre-visit qualifiers. So, this the institute has to check for itself that it is complying with those requirements. It is the first level hurdle that the institute has to cross. So, if the pre-qualifiers themselves have not been complied with, there is no point in applying because it would be rejected anyway. So, an institute must comply with the criteria listed under pre-visit qualifiers. These are the qualifiers that the institute must comply with for the visit to take place itself. So, pre-visit qualifiers for it to proceed further with the submission of SCR and visit by the committee. The institute would not be permitted even to submit the SCR if the pre-qualifiers are not complied with. Very important. So, first you check whether the institute is complying with the pre-qualifiers. It is all based on data. So, it is very easy to check whether the institute is complying with the pre-qualifiers or not. So, the pre-qualifier is the first test that an institute must pass. The Pro-Forma for the pre-qualifier has two parts again. Part A is profile of the institute, quite similar to the part A of SCR. But notice that SCR would be submitted only if the institute has met the pre-qualifier conditions. So, pre-qualifiers come first. If the institute clears that hurdle, then it would be submitting the SCR. So, the part A profile of the institute has to appear in the Pro-Forma for the pre-qualifiers also, because at this time still the institute has not submitted the SCR at all. Okay. So, there is a part A profile of the institute, then part B program information to be provided separately for each program applied for. This program information part B has to be separately given for each program for which accreditation is being sought. Okay. So, that is the Pro-Forma. These two parts are followed by the table of pre-visit qualifiers. There is a table in which the criterion is listed against which we will have to say we comply with it or not complied with it. Not complied means you are lost the eligibility to apply even for accreditation. So, for each qualifier you must indicate the present status and compliance status, complied, not complied. So, the part A, which is profile of the institute, and part B program information is same for both tier 1 and tier 2 institutes in the Pro-Forma. However, the table of pre-visit qualifiers that follows part A and part B, they differ slightly between tier 1 and tier 2 institutes. They are more or less same, but small differences are there. Okay. So, we look at the common parts A and B, which provide basically the information regarding the institution and program, and then we look at the table of pre-visit qualifiers, which are slightly different for the tier 1 and tier 2 institutes. All the information provided in the Pro-Forma must be supported by necessary documentary evidence. This always is an essential requirement. So, in this pro-forma in part A, what is the information that we will have to give? The institutional relation information. This is quite similar to part A of the SCR, quite similar, but not exactly same, but essentially profile of the institute is provided in the part A, but notice that this is pro-forma of the pre-qualifiers, not SCR. Okay. So, name of the institute, institute address, head of the institution, contact details of head of the institution, name and address of the affiliating university if that is relevant, type of the institution, we already have seen what all these things are. Then ownership status, details of all programs being offered by the institution, programs to be considered for accreditation, wide this application. This application is looking for accreditation of certain programs. So, those programs are listed here. So, information to be provided under part A, profile of the institute in the pro-forma is quite similar to the information provided under part A of the SCR, which we discussed in the previous unit. However, the order in which the information is sought is slightly different, that is all right, but the information is same. Example, type of the institute is numbered as item 2 in part A of the SCR, but it is numbered as item A6 in the pro-forma of the pre-qualifiers, but it is same information which is sought. Okay. The information to be provided is same, whether institute of national importance or university or non-autonomous, that is affiliated institute or deemed university or autonomous institute, any other, same. The information sought for is same. Then program information to be provided separately for each program to be considered for accreditation. Information of faculty, faculty cadre in the department and allied departments. Already we have noticed the concept of allied departments. So, provide faculty cadre in the department and allied departments. Details of the head of the department for the program under consideration. For the program for which accreditation is being sought, who is the head of the department. Then we need to provide student faculty ratio. So, there are 3 items to be provided in part B, B1, B2, B3. B2 information on faculty has again 2 subcomponents, faculty cadre and details of the head. Provide this information separately for each program to be considered for accreditation as shown in the upcoming slides. Okay. So, this information is somewhat different from the information to be provided under part A of the SCR. This is program specific information and this is for the programs for which the accreditation is being sought. So, what is the first information to be provided? The program details, program name, year of start, sanction intake, increase decrease if any, and if any increase decrease has happened, the year in which it has happened, then AICTE or competent authority approval details. Again, these are absolutely essential documents. Wherever we claim anything, there must be a documentary proof of it or appropriate evidence indicating that it is authorized. So, the documents must be kept available. Then accreditation status, again this is same as what we discussed earlier, that is applying for the first time or granted accreditation for 2 or 3 years or 5 or 6 years, and if so, what is the period in which the accreditation was granted. Not accredited, that is the committee visited, but the program was not accredited, or as we mentioned in the previous unit, there is a provision for the institute to withdraw a program from further consideration So, if that had happened earlier, that is the case is withdrawn, then what are the specific visit dates during that particular event, that is when the program was withdrawn, then not eligible for accreditation. All this information needs to be provided. Then under B2, information of faculty, this is again two sub criteria under which you will have to provide information. Provide details of the faculty in the department and allied departments and cumulative information for all the 3 academic years starting from the current academic year. So, there is a format according to which you will have to give these details. And programs such as MCA, BCA or other non-engineering programs running in the department or allied departments need to have sufficient faculty members to support those programs, but those details are not part of the information that provided here. So, it is presumed that any such programs, non-engineering program, have adequate resources to run their programs properly, but we do not include those details under this B2 category. Note that these faculty members should not be included in the table where we provide these details. This we have mentioned earlier also in the units when we are discussing the SAR part B also. So, this is how you provide the complete faculty details: name of the faculty, PAN number, they would like to have those details, then apart faculty ID if there is any such ID which is provided, then highest degree, the university, area of specialization, date of joining in this institution, then designation at the time of joining in this institution and what is the current designation. That is after joining the institute, what has been the growth of that faculty member we would like to know. So, designation at the time of joining in this institution and present designation, both are required. The date on which they designated as a professor or associate professor, those details if they are relevant, please provide those details. Nature of association, whether it is regular or contractual, but notice that contractual faculty also has to be appointed following a due process as we mentioned earlier. Okay. So, whether it is full time or part time, then currently associated with the institute or no, because we are talking of a 3-year window during which these details are provided. So, it is possible that currently that particular faculty member whose details we are providing here is not associated with the institute. So, give those details if it is there. So, that is if currently the faculty member is not with the institute, then date of leaving if any, in case currently associated status is no. Then experience in years in current institute. So, provide all these details. Then faculty cadre in the department and allied departments. So, name of the department, number of allied departments. As we mentioned several times, we give not only the details in the department, but also the details in all the allied departments. So, number of UG engineering programs in the department and allied departments, number of PG engineering programs in the department and allied departments. So, faculty cadre information is to be provided as shown in the next slide. There is a particular format in which we have to give the faculty cadre information. Again, this information is to be provided for only 2 academic years, CAY and CAY -1. This is a slight deviation from the general practice of asking for all this data for 3 academic years, but here the faculty cadre information is asked for only CAY and CAY -1. This is the information. Number of professors with PhD degree as per AICTE norms, then a number of associate professors with PhD degree, then a number of assistant professors, then total number of faculty members with PhD degree as per the AICTE norms. So, number of faculty in the department and allied departments for both UG and PG. But the only interesting deviation from the general expectation is that this data is only for current academic year and current academic year -1. First, we provide a regular contract details also. Then details of the head of the department of the program under consideration. The program which is being listed as the one for which accreditation is sought. For that program, who is the head of the department, the details. So, name, then nature of appointment, whether it is regular, contract or ad hoc, then qualification, PhD, MA, MTech or any other qualification. Then we need to provide the student faculty ratio. So, we need to show the computation of SFR averaged over 3 years, CAY, CAY -1 and CAY -2. We already discussed the data to be provided, the documentary evidence required and the computation of SFR in an earlier unit. If you recall the unit on criterion 5 of SAR, which we discussed in the unit W8U5. We showed what kind of data is to be provided, how the SFR is to be computed. We follow the same procedure here to compute the SFR and average it over 3 years, CAY, CAY -1 and CAY -2. So, please refer to W8U5 for the details regarding the calculation of the SFR. Of course, there marks are awarded by the visiting team based on the average SFR value, but here we compute the SFR and just record the value. Okay, there is no question of giving some marks or anything, but we compute the SFR absolutely following the same process. In criterion 5 of SAR, marks are awarded based on the average SFR value. Here we indicate what is the average SFR value. Okay. So, the recorded value will appear as a pre-visit qualifier. Requirements are different for tier 1 and tier 2 institutes, and this will be discussed in the upcoming slides. But the process of computing the SFR is absolutely same. So, now let us look at this is information that we need to give. This will be followed by the table of pre-visit qualifiers. We will have to indicate the compliance status. So, the pre-visit qualifiers compliance requirements are slightly different for tier 1 and tier 2 institutes, broadly similar, but there are small differences. We will discuss them separately in the upcoming slides. We repeat that an institute tier 1 as well as tier 2 must comply with the pre-visit qualifiers for it to be allowed to proceed further. Even submission of SCR would not be allowed if the institute does not comply with the pre-visit qualifiers, whether tier 1 or tier 2. So, it is very important to study them carefully and check whether the institute is complying with the requirements listed under this table. So, tier 1 institute, if you see there are 6 pre-qualifiers listed in this slide. So, the first, and for everything we will have to say what is the current status and compliance status, complied, not complied. Whether the approval of the competent authority, that is it could be AICTE, UGC, or if it is part of the university, board of governors of the university or governing body of the university, whatever be the competent authority, that must have approved this program. So, whether the approval of the competent authority for the program under consideration has been obtained for the previous 5 years starting from the current academic year, because 2 batches must have come out, that means right from beginning it must have been running as an approved program. That is very important, right from beginning it has been running as an approved program. So, the documents must indicate that the approval of the competent authority has been obtained for the previous 5 years starting from the current academic year. So, that is the first criterion, approval. Then whether the student faculty ratio in the department and allied departments is less than or equal to 25:1. That is the minimum that it must be maintained, averaged over 3 years. Current academic year -1 and current academic year -2. Average it over 3 years and we are looking at least 25:1. If there are further cases based on how these departments work together regarding the SFR. If the department school is not running multiple UG programs and does not have allied departments which are running undergraduate engineering programs, that means we are considering a standalone department running just one UG program, not multiple UG program, and there is no cluster there. So, if the department is not running multiple UG programs, engineering programs, and does not have allied departments which are running undergraduate engineering programs, then this is case 1. In this case, the program under consideration needs either 2 professors or 1 professor and 1 associate professor on a regular basis with PhD degree, and this must be in the current academic year and the previous academic year. So, for 2 consecutive academic years, the department must be having either 2 professors or 1 professor and 1 associate professor. This is the scenario where we are talking of a department not running multiple UG programs, that is just one UG program, and there is no cluster of allied departments. The second case is department including allied departments is running multiple UG engineering programs, then the program under consideration needs either 2 professors or 1 professor and 1 associate professor on a regular basis with a PhD degree in the 2 academic years, CAY and CAY -1. This much is same as the previous one. Additionally, the remaining UG engineering programs need n professors or n associate professors in the department or school or allied departments on a regular basis with a PhD degree in CAY and CAY -1 in total. That means, for this specific program the requirement is 2 professors or 1 professor and 1 associate professor. Apart from that, for the cluster taken together as a whole, we see how many programs are there, and based on that the professors and associate professors are required listed. That is how the calculations are done, and exclude the number of professors or associate professor for UG programs that have been running for less than 3 years. That is an exception given. If it is less than 3 years, it is a new program, then exclude the number of professors or associate professors for the UG programs. If the program is relatively new one, less than 3 years. Then the next qualifier is whether the number of faculty having PhD degree available in the department and allied departments is greater than or equal to 20% of the required number of faculty averaged over 2 academic years, that is CAY and CAY -1. Determine the required number of faculty for 25:1. Then from that faculty, at least 20% of the faculty must be having a PhD degree. So, whether the number of faculty having PhD degree available in the department and allied departments is greater than or equal to 20% of the required faculty. Then of course, whether 2 batches have passed out in the program under consideration, this is a standard requirement. Whether the HOD of the department in which the program under consideration is running is appointed on a regular basis and possesses PhD degree in the current academic year. They made it clear that the PhD degree requirement is seen in the current academic year. So, whether the HOD has the PhD because of the program for which accreditation is being sought. So, this information is required, and if the compliance status is not complied for any of these, then the institute has failed in the very first test. Then tier 2 is quite similar in many respects. So, the first part is approval, that is same as in the case of tier 1. Any program running must be running with approvals from appropriate authorities. So, the program must be running for the past 5 years with appropriate approvals. Then the SFR department and allied departments taken together is less than or equal to 25:1, again averaged over 3 years, CAY, CAY minus 1, CAY minus 2, it is the same. Then there is one case where the department is not running multiple UG programs and there is no cluster. Then the requirement is 2 professors or 1 professor and 1 associate professor on a regular basis with a PhD degree, again same as the previous case. Then another case where there are multiple UG programs and then there is a cluster of departments, then for the program which is being considered for accreditation, we need 1 professor and 1 associate professor or 2 professors. And for all the remaining programs taken together, if there are n such programs, they need n professors or n associate professors in the department and cluster taken together. Again in the current academic year and current academic year minus 1 in total. Whether the number of faculty having PhD degree available in the department and allied departments is greater than or equal to 20% of the required number of faculty, okay, averaged over 2 academic years. Then whether 2 batches have passed out in the program under consideration. So, again here also exclude the number of professors, associate professors for the UG programs that have been running for less than 3 years. Okay. So, if you see they are quite similar criterion except regarding the HOD of the department. Okay. That is criterion 6 year, that is not there in tier 2 institute. Again compliance status complied, not complied. Some changes have happened, just for information sake we are providing this. Prior to 2025 revision in the SCR and the 2025 revision in the NBA norms, some changes have occurred in the pre-visit qualifiers. We are not discussing all the details, but just to give a flavor of the kind of changes that have taken place and the kind of thinking that NBA has been going through in changing these pre-visit qualifiers. Just some examples. SCR got revised in 2025 for both tier 1 and tier 2 institutes. We have seen the pre-visit qualifiers compliance requirements present in the pre-2025 version also got revised in the 2025 version. Some of these changes in the pre-visit qualifiers we will just look at it. Okay. Some compliance requirements have been retained unchanged because they are very fundamental to the process of accreditation. For example, the requirement whether 2 batches have passed out in the programs under consideration, that was there as a pre-qualifier. Now also it continues to be a pre-visit qualifier. At least 2 batches must have passed out, obviously, otherwise we cannot really assess the quality of the program. So, that continues to be there. Then some compliance requirements present for both tier 1 and tier 2 institutes in the pre-2025 version got deleted in 2025 version for both tier 1 and tier 2 institutes. For both of them they deleted that. One such example is in the earlier, that is prior to 2025 pre-visit qualifiers, vision, mission and PEOs were asked for, and are the vision and mission of the department stated in the prospectus website, are the PEOs of the program listed in the prospectus website, it was asked. So, the presence or absence of this was considered as a pre-qualifier. Now, that is removed, it is only provided as an information item. Then some qualifiers got slightly marginally altered in tier 1 institutes in particular, and there could be other changes, but just as samples we are indicating whether HOD possesses PhD degree for the programs under consideration. That was the way the requirement was stated earlier. Now, it states whether the HOD of the department in which the program under consideration is running is appointed on a regular basis and possesses PhD degree in the current academic year. So, they have made it very clear that ambiguity which is there in the prior statement is eliminated. It is clear that it must be the appointment on a regular basis and the PhD degree must be in the current academic year. Okay. So, that kind of clarity was brought in. Some criteria like the one involving SFR, faculty with PhD, have been changed completely. That we already have seen, because the notion of a cluster comes in now, which was not there earlier. Okay. So, pre-2025 version had two categories of pre-qualifiers. One, essential pre-qualifiers, that is the institute must comply with it if it has to proceed further. So, they called them as essential pre-qualifiers. Then they gave another set as desirable. It would be nice if the institute meets those pre-qualifiers, but they are not mandatory in the sense of being necessary to proceed further. So, a desirable set of pre-qualifiers was also given. Now, that distinction is not there. Simply a table is given and the institute must comply with the criteria listed in the table. So, such a categorization has been removed now. Okay. These are just some indicative samples presented to provide a flavor of the revisions made in the 2025 version. So, that completes our discussion of the Pro-Forma for pre-visit qualifiers. In the next unit W11U2, we will understand the general process of awarding the accreditation, on what basis the accreditation is awarded, and the general process of accreditation by NBA. So, we will see these details in the next unit. Okay. Thank you. We will meet again in the next unit. Thank you. Thank you.